Hello and welcome to POW Clinic. Today we're going to learn how to do a single leg stance. This is a progression, so we're going to go through 3 steps that are going to help you eventually stand on one leg. We're going to start by standing with our feet hip-width distance apart and our weight evenly distributed on both of them. Our posture is nice and tall. We're breathing nicely and smoothly. And we're bringing in our pelvic floor ever so slightly just to stabilize the pelvis. Again, make sure you can breathe nice and softly. And we're going to start with step number 1. Pick the leg that you want to work on. In this case, I'm doing my left leg. So I'm simply shifting my weight onto that left leg. Now I feel some activation in my toes, my calf, my thigh, and my glute medius. Now notice when I shifted the weight, my hip did not collapse. It stayed leveled with the floor. That's because the glute medius kicked in. That glute medius is that glute on the side of the hip. And think of it as the brakes of the hip. The stronger it is, the more stable your pelvis will be. So again, as you shift onto the support leg, those glutes should kick in and keep your pelvis stable. If you lost a little bit of that pelvic floor contraction, bring it in again. And we're going to go on to step number 2. We're going to narrow our base of support. So I'm just bringing my right leg towards the left leg, although my foot is still in full contact with the floor. Most of my weight is still on the left leg, and there's more activation now on the entire lower chain, from my toes, my calves, my thighs, all the way up to my glute medius. I'm still standing nice and straight. To make it a little bit harder, we're going to bring the heel of the non-working leg onto the inner shin, but keeping the toes on the ground for a little bit of support. This one will be a little bit harder. It's a little bit more wobbly. So make sure that you're still standing nice and tall. Your pelvic floor is still a bit engaged. Your glute medius is really kicking in, keeping your hips and your pelvis leveled. And you should feel quite a bit of activation on your toes, but you shouldn't be gripping the floor with them. So if this is where you need to stay, you stay right here. Eventually, you should be able to start picking up the other foot off the floor and just walking it up your support leg. Lots of activation of the lower chain here. A lot of activation in the glute medius, the quads, the hamstrings, the calf, and definitely my ankle and my foot, although I'm not gripping the floor with my toes. Now, eventually, maybe you may be able to get to do a tree pose like this. Now, don't worry about getting there right now. This is a progression, so take your time working through the steps in order to properly load your tissues and make them stronger. See you next time.